Broncos. They were a surprise playoff team last season, finishing with a 10-7 record. They went a perfect 8-0, though, against teams that had a 500 record or worse. So they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. And except for that Week 18, when the Chiefs rested most of their starters, they were 1-7 against teams with winning records. And Bo Nix excelled in those games against lesser competition. Here he is speaking today on his progression in year 2.
I feel like I'm a lot further. Just spitting out play calls is a lot easier, just processing, being around VJ for a year, understanding the defense that I'm going to get. So it's a lot better. It's a lot more enjoyable not thinking, right now as opposed to what I was doing last year. Haven't done anything up until this point, and I got a lot to prove, a lot to show. So, every day it's working. Every day it's finding a way to get better because you don't want to get to, year 2 or go down the road and, all of a sudden you got stuck and didn't get any better. So that's my focus right now is just not even worried about what people are saying. Just internally, I know I got a long way to go.
And Sam, they finished 5 games back at the Chiefs, but it was a great pick for them. Let's face it, handpicked by Sean Payton. What are your expectations for the two of them together in year 2?
I expect a lot more success for Bo Nix and for this Denver Broncos offense. The reason why isn't just because he's more experienced, because they've added pieces, specifically Evan Ingram at tight end. Why does that piece matter? The reason it matters is that Sean Payton talks a lot about the middle triangle, quarterback, running back, and tight ends. I know it because I played against him time and time again. You see him attack the middle of the field, whether it's through running back, screen game, whether it's through tight end mismatches. That's an area of improvement I think the Denver Broncos are going to have. Yes, Cortland Sutton on the outside. Marvin Mims is dynamic, but Evan Ingram is going to be a big-time playmaker in this offense because of the way that Sean Payton loves to attack the middle of defenses.
I knew the floor was going to be really high for Bo Nix because he played so much college football. He's one of these guys like Michael Penix, like Jaden Daniels, who they threw the ball like 2,000 times in college. It's a different era with the transfer portal, with COVID, that extra year that those guys got. So I knew he was going to have instant success. I didn't know it would be like this. The difference maker this year with Bo Nix is going to be R.J. Harvey. Because nobody get mad at what I'm about to say. Bo Nix was one of the best in college last year, but he can also catch the passes. Alvin Kamara had similar success under Sean Payton very early. He had 44% of the snaps his rookie year, but still had some of the best numbers in all of football his rookie year. I'm expecting R.J. Harvey to be perhaps a dark horse Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah, and the other thing that we have to focus on is the amount of turnovers that Bo Nix had. Sean Payton is a Bill Parcells disciple, always talk about how teams can lose games before you ever win them. And last year, Bo Nix was 17th in turnovers. So the turnovers have to improve. And then you look at someone like Joe Burrow, guys, massive drop. He had 13 touchdown passes his rookie year, 34 second year. And I think as both, Sam and Kevin have mentioned, be it Evan Ingram, R.J. Harvey, Bo Nix is going to be a lot better. I'm not saying he's going to have the Joe Burrow jump, but if he could just cut down on the turnovers, be a little bit more efficient with an underrated defense, Hannah, this team, I'm not saying they're going to beat Kansas City, but they'll make it very competitive.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't get why he invoked Joe Burrow there, though. But, yeah, listen. This whole thing right here is so misleading to me. This chart right here. So 2 of those teams with a winning record right off the jump were the Broncos and the Steelers. And that was the first 2 games for rookie quarterback Bo Nix, okay? So you're obviously going to have a whole bunch of growing pains in the very beginning. The Steelers, especially in the first half of the season, awesome defense. Their defense was just suffocating. Again, you're talking about the first game ever for Bo Nix in week 1. So, okay, those are 2 losses. We can even then jump forward to the Chiefs game, right? Bo Nix played brilliant that game, by the way. Played awesome on the road. That was big time. They were undefeated. They had the win. Blocked field goal. We all know how it goes. That's 3 games right there. You're going to have another 2 games with the Chargers. Those are divisional games. One game I think was on short rest. I think it was on the road Thursday night football. That's a tough spot for a young quarterback. I think the Herd Con Coward kind of had the stats before where he shows like quarterbacks in that position, like young quarterbacks in that position, like notoriously get rocked. Like it's just a hard spot for them to be in. So that makes sense. And then I guess the final team was going to be the Bengals. the final team with the winning record would be the Bengals, because I think they officially ended up having a winning record. Yeah, you had the Bengals, which again was an awesome game, overtime, pretty wild game, quite frankly. So yeah, I mean, Ravens game got away from them, understandably so. I'm not expecting them to go to win 6-7 games rookie year, Bo Nix, against all great top teams. I mean, that's just a hard spot to be in. But yeah, it's just when I see a thing like this, it tries to make it look like they could only beat bad teams and couldn't beat good teams. And I just think that ends up being a lot more misleading when you really think about it. If the Broncos were to play the Seahawks and the Steelers again later in the season, you can give that 2 wins. Boom. That's 3 wins right now. The Chiefs, they had that game. Obviously, they clearly played good enough to win. They were the better team that day. Boom. That's 4 wins right there. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a little bit me. I'll give you the Ravens. That game was an ugly game pretty quickly, although I think also as a rookie, Bo Nix actually played pretty well in that game, ironically, even though the final score certainly wouldn't prove that to you. I think that was the game when he caught a touchdown pass or something. But yeah, I mean, I think all the things that they said in this segment about what the Broncos need to do and what they can be I think is all valid. I think I'm excited to also see what Bo Nix does with his legs as well. I think his mobility was actually more impressive to me than some of these other things, because people were talking about his arm and they were really people were more surprised by his ability to actually just play quarterback in the traditional sense, because a lot of people did not think he was going to be as good, and I was always confident in that. But is what really impressed me, because since I was already confident in the other stuff, was his mobility and his physicality. That to me is what caught me off more guard, to see him be able to do that at the NFL level. And that's what I'm just kind of like, well, this is really interesting to me. What will Sean Payton do with that? Obviously, we also know that Bo Nix ended up having some sort of injury to his back. So again, I'm not saying I want Bo to leave his, put his body on the line game after game after game, but I would love to see his mobility be used more for on-script plays that they really use to kind of bait and switch defenses and really keep them on their toes, rather than just the more get-out-of-jail-free card that it was used more regularly last season. I want to see his mobility used more intentionally, quite frankly. That's what I'm a huge proponent of doing with Bo this coming season, and I think it could also get Bo more settled into games more quickly, right? Just getting, positive progress, and again, allowing him to use his legs in a way that's more on script, more part of the actual game plan itself, which then when you're now having success, it feels like you're having success within the game plan, rather than, oh man, things aren't really working too well. Yeah, we're having success. Yeah, we got a first down. Yeah, we got a touchdown. Yeah, we're up 14-7, but like, I've had to pull some rabbits out of some hats here. And it just you want to be able to feel the success within the game plan itself. So I would love to see that be a little bit more intentional, and just kind of see how that evolves. I'm excited to see what Bo Nix does in year 2. Everyone is so obsessed with the whole sophomore slump, and I just think with Bo Nix's experience, combined with the fact that he has Sean Payton as his head coach, as well as having, I think they made some improvements offensively, and I think especially if they stay healthy defensively, their defense should be awesome. It's hard for me to imagine that you're going to see some like real big step back where you're like, what's going on here? Because I think the defense should be able to completely hold their own. I trust Sean Payton to be able to diagnose and understand what's going on with second, third year quarterbacks who could potentially backslide a little bit. And I trust him to guide Bo Nix through that as well. And of course, now you add a couple key pieces on offense, and it's like, all right, let's party. So I'm really not concerned about them. The biggest concern that they have is that the NFL is becoming pretty quickly like no easy wins. Like I just think the bottom just keeps rising, actually. And part of that the Broncos are part of it. They were a bottom team, and now they're not. And so there's definitely a couple of other teams that are trying to, enter that conversation as well. But not as many teams have a quarterback coach duo that I firmly believe in, like Bo Nix and Sean Payton have. So that, of course, will give them a massive leg up. Not to mention an awesome O-line and an awesome defensive line, and should also be a top defense as well. I mean, it's just check. You got all the checks for what should be obviously a great team. As long as Bo Nix shows like legitimate progress, I don't think he needs to like spike in terms of his development. But as long as he actually continues to progress and looks even more comfortable, and Sean Payton understands him more deeply, and Bo understands Sean more deeply, like you really see that relationship develop as well. I mean, I think if anything, technically their worst case team, their worst case scenario, they were able to go 8-0 against the 500 or worse teams. And when some of the youth showed, when some of the bad luck showed, they were 1-7. It's really not hard to imagine that you can add another 2-3 games to that, which then makes you an 11-12 win team, or more maybe. So it's just like you can be right there. You can be right there. So I'm excited to see how year 2 is going to look like, and I'm going to be pretty locked in on the Broncos for sure. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Denver Broncos? What they need to do to be able to take a big step forward this season, and kind of making sense of this graphic right here? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.